What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I utter this word, risk? You get a bad feeling? Are you a bit scared? Or do you think of it as an opportunity, something that you can do, something bold, something courageous? Well, when it comes to the stock market, there are times when people are bullish. What does this mean? Well, the bull attacks like this, going up. So in a market that's bullish, people believe that the prices will go up. So they're betting on an upward trend. The opposite is the bear. The bear market is when people think markets are going down because the bear attacks like this, going down. How could your life be different if you were born in a family that embraced risk, or in a country where taking a risk and failing is not seen as something that defines you, but it's something good because it means at least you tried, right? So let's dive in to a very famous quote from Leon Tolstoy in his masterpiece Anna Karenina, in which he said, "All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way." Now you might be wondering, what the hell do families have with business or the stock market? Well, if you think of it, happy families share a bunch of common attributes. They have loving parents that are strong role models, so their kids can look up to their parents as models to be seen of what to do. They have a supportive environment so their kids can thrive. And a similar thing happens in business. Successful businesses have their own set of common traits. They have a clear, compelling vision from their leaders. They have laser focus to solve a specific problem, an unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction, and an ability to adapt to change and innovate, or better yet, to promote change, to disrupt their market. But here's the kicker: success is not Rome. Not all roads lead to success. That's why you're here at the Rock and Roll to Success with me, because there's a single path to success, but there are countless roads to ruin. As Robert Heinlein famously said, never underestimate the power of human stupidity. Business can fall prey to an incompetent founder, bad decisions, some disastrous hit in your infrastructure, some unforeseen event like an earthquake or a tsunami, or even something like what happened in 2020. And also, investors can simply decide to close the cash tap because you're spending too much money on ping pong tables and video games and lavish catering for your employees. Yeah, I've seen a lot of this. A lot of companies that waste their investors' money, getting some big shot singers to sing for them at their corporate meetings just so their employees can post on social media, "Wow, my company is great." Yeah, you know who they are. There are many, many mistakes that can make or break your company. And most of the time, avoiding those critical mistakes that can be fatal is more important than thinking of the great things you can do, 100x, 1000x opportunities. Because the human brain, it's much better at predicting what could go wrong rather than what could go right. So you should use this in your favor. Think about what factors could lead your business to insolvency, what factors could lead your business to bankruptcy, and avoid them at all costs. Like Charlie Munger, the famous investor, Warren Buffett's partner, said, "All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there." Think of all the places where you could die and simply stop going there. That could be hiking in the woods alone or some accident in a farm. You never know. Just beware. And you might be saying, "Well, but didn't you say we should embrace failure? Are you a hypocrite, Gabriel?" Maybe. Just kidding. No, not at all. Embracing failure is about learning from your mistakes, growing, iterating. It's about understanding that setbacks are part of the journey. However, while you need to embrace the lessons from failures, it's equally crucial to recognize and steer clear. Catastrophic mistakes can be the endgame for you. Risk is a double-edged sword. As Isaac Newton said in his third law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's a fundamental law of physics. In life, every decision you make carries a risk. Sometimes we turn a blind eye to the risks we're used to because they happen every day. For instance, you might have a bad habit of texting while driving, and it might seem harmless. You've done it 100 times, 200 times, but maybe next time it won't be as harmless. It's harmless until it's not. You face a potential catastrophic consequence every time you text while you drive. There are things you normalize that put you under existential risk, but you do them anyway. Likewise, you might feel secure working for a big corporation on this fancy office, but are you really? What would happen if the CFO suddenly said that the company needs to cut costs and your whole department is terminated at the click of a button? One day he decides that the investors need better numbers because they're getting sad, because money up not as up as they want, money bit down. So what do? Cut costs. And what happens when they cut costs? You're jobless. Risk is a tightrope, and understanding risk is crucial for any business. It's about weighing the potential rewards against the potential pitfalls. As Nassim Taleb, the author of Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, put it, the idea that in order to make a decision, you need to focus on the consequences, which you can know, rather than the probability, which you can't know, is the central idea of uncertainty. Now you might be thinking, oh, great, Gabriel, you're quoting another big shot, but how can I balance risk in my own life? I know you're thinking that, and that's why we're going to delve into two concepts, symmetry and asymmetry. Something with symmetric consequences, something that's predictable. For example, if you're baking a cake and you just double the ingredients, what happens? You get cake twice as big. Or thinking of a negative consequence, if you smoke a pack of cigarettes every day, there's a large risk that you'll face some negative consequences down the line, right? But what about asymmetric consequences? What's the catch? What's not symmetric about them? Well, they are unpredictable. They can make or break you. That's what happens when you make a small bet and you get a windfall from it. Sometimes a relatively low risk investment can blow up and you get a lot of money. Low risk, high reward. Contrary to popular belief, risk and return aren't always balanced. There's no linear correlation between them. Risk and return have a curious relationship. Sometimes you can have small risk and high return. Sometimes you can have large risk and low return. And since you're on the rock and roll to success, I'll tell you a secret. And that's the secret that makes billionaires every year. That's why hedge fund managers are so filthy rich. They look for one thing. They look for asymmetries in information. Symmetries between what people think will happen, but what they know might happen. So for instance, you might hedge a bet that you pay very little for the optionality of buying something, for example, a stock or a commodity, and all you have to lose is the price you paid for the option. And suddenly, when the time comes, the stock or commodity blows up and you can get a lot of money for it. The key is to find opportunities with low but known risks and high, potentially unknown rewards. Even if the chance of getting lucky is low, you know how much you can lose and you know you can win shit money, then it might be worth it. Think about what happens when a content creator blows up out of the blue, or when a certain stock or commodity skyrockets. Think about what happened when everyone was buying GameStop stock. The guys that had the option to buy it for X and sell it at 10X made a lot of money. So now let's talk about two frameworks on risk and reward. First, there's this matrix from the 4-week MBA on asymmetric bets, considering risk and reversibility. As you can see, one axis says, is it reversible? And the other axis says, how risky is it? So where do you want to be in this matrix? Well, you want the bets that are reversible, so you can go back if they don't pay out. And the risk is low. The worst case scenario that can happen with this bet, you don't have much to lose. So these are the asymmetric bets. These are the ones we should look for in our daily lives, or in our business. And when we find them, we have to move fast. We can make decisions quickly. If it was reversible, but the risk was high, then you have to analyze, experiment, to do some A/B testing with multiple models because the risk is high. If it wasn't reversible, but the risk was low, you'd also have to analyze a lot, even more actually, because you can't change it quickly. So you'd have to perform some gradual tests and a gradual rollout of the model. And of course, if the risk is high and it's irreversible, you should make a very slow decision, very well thought out. And maybe you shouldn't make any decision and just don't bet on that. Look for asymmetric bets that are easily reversible and have a low risk. And when you find them, go all in. There's another, even bolder perspective that comes from a man that we like to talk about a lot in this channel. Our favorite bald guy, Jeff Bezos. It's the Bezos matrix. It's pretty much the same idea. Axis we have irreversibility, and on the vertical axis, we have consequentiality. So the consequences are low, you can decide fast. The consequences are high, but you can reverse it quickly and easily. You should also decide fast, but gather information and evidence about the outcome along the way so you can go if it doesn't work out. And the only moment where he thinks you should take things slowly in terms of decision making is when consequences are high and you can't reverse them. Then he says you should take care, be methodical in your approach. So no wonder Amazon is such an awesome company, so innovative. Unless the consequences are high, the decision can't be undone. Uncle Jeff likes to decide very fast. And if it works for him, why shouldn't it work for you? Amazon wouldn't be what it is if they didn't try so many different approaches, see what happens, see what goes well, what doesn't, and then keep iterating and getting better and better with time. If you try and fail, there's no problem. You can just reverse it. Imagine if Jeff Bezos was your actual uncle. How different would your perspective on risk be? Imagine if you were born into a family that encouraged you to take risks, to try new things, to learn new things. Imagine a world where every stumble wasn't a mark of shame, but a badge of learning. How different would your life be if in your childhood, every idea, no matter how wild, how crazy it was met with encouragement and curiosity? What if after every setback, you were greeted with a pat on the back and your parents saying, "Great effort. What did you learn from it?" You can see now how this type of attitude can make a world of difference when you were growing up. And unfortunately, many families end up stifling creativity and punishing their young to fit into the societal mold and avoid taking risks because they want what's best for their kids. And for them, taking risks is scary. They don't want their kids to take risks and end up bankrupt and end up living under the bridge. That's why they end up stifling and wanting you to fit into the mold and getting a job, a safe job in a big corporation. They want what's best for you, of course. But sometimes what they think is best of you is not what actually is best for you. I want to challenge you to start breaking your generational curses, because the past generations, they don't just pass down heirlooms, they don't just pass objects or wealth, they also transfer beliefs, many times limiting beliefs, those invisible chains that hold us back from using all our potential, that makes fear something more familiar than ambition. It's time to change these narratives. It's time to ensure your kids, they're not bound by the fears of the past. So if your grandpa had a problem with money when he was young, why should your kids have to face the same limiting beliefs that he passed on to your mom and she passed on to you? Why can't you break this curse so your kids can have a better life? You should empower them with a mindset that embraces challenges and learns from the setbacks. This also happens in terms of cultures, in terms of countries, our views of failure, they're not personal, they're cultural. There are societies where a single setback, a single mistake can label you for life. It can discourage you from risk taking. In these places, staying in the cozy comfort zone is seen as the smart move. But there are places in the world, places like Israel, places like the Silicon Valley, where every stumble you take is just another lesson. It's just another story to share. People actually like to hear the failure stories more than they like the success, because there is much more to learn from failure than from success many times. Geography has nothing to do with this. It's all about the mindset. It's all about the people you surround yourself with. It doesn't matter if you're in Sweden, where caution might be the norm, or at a startup hub where risks are the daily bread and butter. The lens through which you view the world, the lens through which you view failure, defines your journey. So it's time for us to break the mold. It's time for us to hop on Anna Karenina's Express Triumph. Thank you for joining me at the Rock and Roll to Success. If you like this, you'll love my newsletter, so please subscribe. The link is on the description and on the first pinned comment. Let's embrace the mindset that celebrates experimentation, resilience, innovation. Let's cultivate a culture that sees failure not as a dead end, but as a detour to a more enlightened path. So now I'll challenge you to choose your railway. As we're pulling away with the train from Panic Station, please reflect on what you've heard today and keep some key takeaways in mind. First, we talked about the Anna Karenina Principle from Leon Tolstoy, that success has a pattern, but failure doesn't. Whether in family or business, those who succeed share common attributes, while failures are unique in their pitfalls. We talked about leveraging risk. Not all risks are created equal. The key is to identify and act on those where the potential rewards far outweigh the downsides, creating asymmetric opportunities. We talked about generational legacies and how our past doesn't have to dictate our future, how our upbringing and the cultural norms shape our views, and we discovered that we have the power to challenge those beliefs and redefine them. We also talked about the power of perspective, that how we perceive setbacks determines our journey, that these setbacks can be chains that hold us back or stepping stones that propel us forward. So what will you choose? The chain or the stepping stone? Then we've talked about dancing with the unknown, that every venture has its risks, and the ventures where the potential gains are vast and transformative are the ones that truly matter. It doesn't matter if you fail 1,000 times. If in the 1,001st time you strike gold, you'll be filthy rich. Finally, we delved into the cultural tapestry and how societies around the world have different views on failure. It doesn't matter the cultural lens. There's one truth that stands tall above them all. Setbacks are merely the precursors to the comeback. So if these insights struck a chord with you, if you like the message, if you learn anything, please don't let them just echo in your mind. Let them reverberate in your action. Share this with your friend, your colleague, someone in your family that needs a fresh perspective, setbacks and risks, someone you know that has a lot of potential but it's not taking the risks they should. Together, we're redefining failure. Every stumble is a step closer to success. So start taking action, share with your friends, and just go, go, go.